Hey everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day. Welcome to my new YouTube channel and welcome to my first of many editing tutorial videos where I'm going to be showing you how I edit my photos and hopefully you guys can learn something new either in post-processing or some tips on how to work through Lightroom or Photoshop, which is where I pretty much edit all my photos. So my plan right now is to make at least one editing tutorial video a week where I'm going to be editing photos from my most recent trips or photos I have taken before, and then I'll be uploading the image to Instagram where you guys can see the final image. I'm super excited to share this new series because I think it's great to look back and see how my work progresses over time, and then at the same time I'll be taking you guys with me on that journey. So if you guys learned something new by the end of the video, consider liking the video and subscribing to see more content in the future. Alright, so let's begin. So I'll bring up the information panel by bringing I. This photo was taken at Niagara Falls. It was taken on February around 6:30 in the morning, right before the sun was coming out. It was taken with a shutter speed of 2.5 at f9 with an ISO of 100, and I was using my Nikon Z6 with the 14 to 30mm, and it was taken at 18mm, so it is fairly wide image. I'll toggle that off. First thing I'm going to do is go over to the crop tool. I want to fix my horizon since the photo is crooked right now, and I can do that by clicking here and then just dragging over my horizon, making that straight line. Looks good. I'll press enter. Perfect. The next thing I'm going to do is click on the spot healing brush tool. Clicking that, and I usually have the visualize spots tool here, but if you just toggle A, it'll allow you to see the sudden changes in color in your image, and that way you can target and select what spots you want to clean. So I'm going to start by doing that. Alright, so that's going to render a cleaner image, and that'll remove most of the spots that are on the lens. Next thing I'm going to do is go over to the exposure. I do want to brighten this image up a little bit, and then I'll raise my contrast. Alright, I do want to make the darker spots in the image a bit brighter, and I can do that with the shadow slider. I'll bring that up until I can start to see some color in there. I'm mainly focusing on this part of the image on the bottom right. It is a bit dark, so I do want to gain some detail there. And then the highlights, we did make them brighter a little bit, so I'm going to darken those. Awesome. Now, something that I like to do with my image, I don't like to have complete blacks. So I'll always raise the black slider until I have a bit more of a faded black, and you guys can see if I just slide it all the way up, that looks about right. The clarity I always like to bring down as well. Same thing with the texture. Alright, the image is looking a little bit dull right now, and we can fix that by boosting the saturation and the vibrance. Saturation is going to target the entire image, and the vibrance is going to target mainly the midtones. Perfect. Now the image is looking a little bit blue right now, and we can fix that with the white balance. I'll just raise the temperature. Sweet. I'm gonna go down to the tone curve and just make an S curve. It's what I tend to do. I'll start with the bottom, and again, I don't like to have complete black, so I'll raise my shadows. And then the highlights I do want to bring up as well. Now in this part of the image, I do like to press J. This will show your histogram, and then it shows you if you're clipping your highlights and your shadows. So in this case, as long as you're not seeing anything red, it means you're good and you still have detail in part of your image. But if I do raise it completely, it'll start to show red, and that tells you that you are clipping your highlights. Perfect. So I do want to warm up this image and provide a little bit more color. using the red curve. Right, that's looking really good. And I'll just toggle the before and after using the backslash key. Right, so we've made a lot of change already. I'm gonna go down, I'll skip over the HSL and go straight to the color grading. In my highlights, I always like to bring them and provide a little bit of warmth, and I can do that by dragging over to the orange. And then the saturation, I always like to bring it up to see completely what it's doing and then slowly bring it back down to the point where it looks good to me. Now the highlights, the photo is still looking a bit blue, so I can fix that with the shadows. I'll make them a little bit orange as well. Perfect, and I'll just toggle that on and off. Sweet, so I'm going to close that and go over to the detail tab. The first thing I want to do is click option, or click on the button option on your keyboard, and then on the masking slider. Now if you do see white, it is affecting your entire image, so what you want to do is slowly lower it, or raise it in this case, until you start to see what it's actually affecting. Alright, and for the detail you have to zoom in because you can't really see what's being affected, and just hold option again and raise that slider. Same thing with the radius, hold option and select it. And the sharpening I'll leave alone. So I'm going to close that box and go down to the color calibration. I always like to play around with the blue primary, just the saturation. I like to raise it, provide a little bit more color into the image. And then in the sky, I want to make that a little bit brighter with the saturation. Awesome, so that's looking perfect. I'll just toggle that before and after. So now to the local adjustments. I want to darken the sky. I'm going to drag a slider from the top to the bottom and toggle using O to see what I'm selecting. I'm going to click on the range mask and choose my luminance. I only want to target the highlights. And then I want to darken them a little bit. Sweet. Now I was thinking the same thing here in the bottom left corner. I'm going to darken the railing because it is affecting our image quite a bit, and it is distracting, I would say, to the image. So I'm going to darken it just by selecting that and then darkening it here. The next thing I'm going to do is grab a radial tool and then just select it over the falls. What I want to do is target this part of the falls, make it brighter. Same thing here as well, and then I'm going to brighten up the mist here in the water. So again, I'm going to press O to see what I'm selecting. The range mask, I'm going to click the luminance and then just raise it until I'm only selecting the highlights. And then brighten it up a little bit. And we can see how that's being affected if I just turn that off and on. Sweet. I'm going to create another brush here. Now the mist is almost acting like a cloud, so it is very soft, and I can do that. I soften it a little bit more with the clarity slider, and then lower the texture. Lastly, I'm going to grab another brush tool here, and drag it over the water. I'm going to select only the highlights and raise the exposure. Sweet. Alright, so I think that's going to be the full image. I think I'm going to leave it where it is right now. I'm pretty satisfied with what I have here. I'll just switch to the before and after so you guys can see what's been done. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with what I have here. You can always tweak it a little bit more, but I'm going to leave it the way it is. So thank you for coming along in this episode. Hopefully you guys learned something new, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.